Hey y'all. So, as you already know, we have a super powerful full moon that is coming upon us on August the 19th, 2024, in the sign of Aquarius. And at this particular time, along with the full moon, the energy in the skies are bringing forth chaos, tension, struggle, just thickness, and not necessarily bad, change and transformation and sudden shocking events, all of those things. But we're going to talk about why this full moon and all of those energies at this particular moment in time is doing what they're doing. We're going to talk about those details, tease it out, and describe how it's going to be affecting each and every one of you based on your sun, moon, or rising signs. But first, before we even get into that, let's talk about what a full moon actually is. So a full moon is an opposition between the moon and the sun. And sometimes we can categorize oppositions as challenging energy. It really just depends on what sign the sun and the moon are in, and do those signs or their ruling planets, do they play nicely? Right? So you have the sun and the moon sitting across from each other, giving us our full moon. And in full moon energies bring forth with it a burst of energy. A surge of energy that energizes us to move and to do things, to make action, where we didn't before. So if you had a desire to change something, if you had an idea, if you wanted to do something, and you have a full moon hitting it with its burst of energy, you're going to move on that thing. But full moon's energy is so unrefined, is so unprocessed. It's kind of chaotic in itself because it's just new and it's just a burst of thing. Although it has an energy of bringing things to fruition. It has an energy of bringing things to light, but it's still untamed because we haven't had a chance to sit with that energy and direct it in the way that we want it to do, and to bring about what we want it to bring about, because it hits us so suddenly. Now, what's special about this full moon and all of its glory, bringing its energy with it, it's going to be very close to us. And so this is why it's a super moon. A super full moon happens when the moon is close to us. So we feel its energy a bit more potently, right? Because it's closer to us. So we have that going on. Not only do we have that going on, we have some other challenging conversations in the skies, or challenging conversations between the planets that are happening in the skies. And I call it conversations because it's easier to kind of convey exactly what's happening. And so if you think about it, think about yourself when you're having a conversation with your best friend, or you're having a conversation with somebody that you get along with. The energy is easy. You're passing ideas, you're laughing, you're keying, and everything is all good because the energy between you and that person, or between you and those people, if it's a group of friends, it's all good. But imagine the person that you don't get along with at work because they always got a snide remark. They always are too critical. They always are very nosy. They always are, you name it. They're doing something that just rubs you the wrong way, or you're doing something that rubs them the wrong way, and the energy between you is just not good. Or every time you get in a room with somebody, you have it's argument, it's frustration, it's, you know what I mean? It's just not easy. And so I like for you to think about it that way, because this is actually what's happening in the sky. It's not the easy conversations that's happening. It's the ones that are hard. It's the one that brings intensity. It's the ones that bring the challenges and the struggles and the conflict. That is what's actually happening. And those conversations are being energized by the energy that the moon is bringing. So what are those aspects or those conversations like that are happening in the sky? Number one, we have oppositions. Number two, we have squares. So oppositions aren't necessarily bad, but they do bring intensity, and it depends on how those planets actually gel or not with each other. So an opposition is the planets standing directly across from one another, right? So like the sun and the moon is directly across from each other. The moon is going to be in Aquarius and the sun is going to be in Leo. That's 180-degree opposition. So we have other oppositions that's coming along. And so oppositions, all of these conversations in the sky, they beg certain questions. And so oppositions, you want to know, the first thing you want to ask yourself when you figure out, is this going to be an opposition, is, okay, what is the level of intensity going to be? Is this aspect bringing balance? Is it bringing challenge? Do these planets get along? Is it a you scratch my back, I scratch your back thing? You do for me, I do for, like, you know what I mean? Like, we get along? Or is it going to be a fight? Do they just not mix like oil and water? That's what you need to find out what's going on. And this is what we're going to talk about. The other type of conversation that's going on is the square. And the square is a 90-degree aspect. It's a hard angle. This is a full-on battle, okay? A full-on battle is bringing tension, it's bringing struggle, it's bringing conflict. And the questions that you should be asking when we're having squares is, what is the solution going to be? Because you have to figure out the solution. Like, what is coming up that's causing this challenge that I have to solve? Right? Also, what squares do is they force you to ask the question, where do I find my strength in this? Right? I know there are certain challenges that I have gone through, and I didn't even know that I had the strength that I had until that challenge, that conflict, that struggle brought it out of me. And so that is what the square is going to do. So it ain't necessarily bad, in my opinion. I'm not going to say I like, because it's not always comfortable, but the squares with the challenging energy that it brings, it always brings the aftermath, is the staying power of what that challenge is unearthing, right? And so when you're having a square, you want to ask yourself, who am I now? Who do I want to be, or who will I be when this challenge is over? Right? And that's all about how you're going to solve that conflict, right? So what is the challenge trying to teach you is what you need to be asking, right? How can I dig deep and find my strength? Okay. And so, yes, people are talking about, oh, you need to go hide under a rock. You need to be scared, and you need to no, you don't need to do that. You need to be brave, right? And so people, yes, they're going to be not acting like themselves. You might not be acting like yourself, but if you're informed, you need to check that. Like, you're here and you're having this conversation with me right now. If you feel yourself being irrational, you need to check that shit. You need to calm it down, right? So what I'm saying is, understand that the energy is going to bring about irrational behavior in people. It's going to bring shocking things out. Things are going to shock you. Right? The energy might want to take something away from you, but no, if it takes something away from you, that thing that is taken away from you, it don't serve you, and it's going to replace it with something that will, either immediately or eventually. Okay. But it's your job to figure out what the energy is trying to move you toward. How are you going to do that? By asking yourself those questions that we just asked a few moments ago, right? And so to become a better you, you got to figure out what these challenges are actually trying to bring you, right? It's the challenges, it's the struggles that teach you your strength. It shows you the depths of who you are. It rips layers into you. And no, it might not always be comfortable, but you know what? You do become better. And right, without having those, you would never know who you can be. You would never know what you can accomplish. So welcome the challenges. Welcome this energy. Know what's going on so that you can use it to get to where you have to go. And understand that whatever experience it brings you, your whole being is going to know why you will or you won't do something, why you will be with somebody, why you won't, why you will do that job, why you won't, why you will put that business in play, why you won't. While you will have that relationship, while you won't. And guess what? Every single last fiber of you, because of the experience that the challenge is bringing you, is gonna know why you will or you won't. And I always tell my son, when you have an experience that moves you in such a way, your toenails, why you know why you gonna do something and why you won't. So welcome this. Don't hide. Be brave. Right? There will be heightened emotions, but keep your composure. And you know what? The composed is always in control. The composed always win. Just be prepared. And this is why you're here, because I'm preparing you, right? So if it's raining, you want to have your raincoat, your rain boots, and your umbrella. If you're going to be stepping into battle, you want to have your spear. You want to have your sword. You want to have your shield. And you want to have your plan. You want to have a strategy, right? Because you can't win without a strategy. All right. So what are some of those challenging aspects that are happening? We're going to be having on August the 18th. So I'm going a couple days. The new moon is actually going to be on the 19th. So we got to get into what the energy is doing on the days leading up to the full moon, because like I said, the energy from the full moon is energizing all of this stuff. And you can feel the energy from this particular full moon at least a week or two before and a week or two after. So on August the 18th, Mercury is moving into Leo, and it's going to square Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus is all about, it can be all about chaos. It jostles you. It's all about shocking. It's about rebellion. It's about all of those things that's unconventional. It's about the freedom. It's about the split. It's about breaking things apart. Okay. And Mercury is squaring that. So Mercury right now is actually in retrograde. So Mercury in retrograde is like, this is another thing. Like, this is another layer of the conversations that's happening in the sky. Like, with Mercury being retrograde, it's an element of things from the past coming forward, right? And you're going to probably learn something with regards to where it touches in your house that you didn't know before. You're going to have a piece of information that you didn't know. It might be shocking in a good way or a bad way, for better or worse. You're going to find out. Okay. Then, the same day that it actually squares Uranus, Mercury is going to join the sun. And sometimes we say that when a planet joins the sun, its power can be turned down because it's being burned by the sun. We call that being combust. But in this case, it's far enough away from the sun where it's going to be getting good shimmers from the sun. It's going to be getting highlights. We call this a cazimi. This is auspicious. This is luck and opportunity. And so that information that you actually might get might be the information that you need to make the move that you need to make, the one piece that was missing from the puzzle, the one thing that was hidden from you. So you might learn something that's like, yeah, okay, I got this. All right. So you can make a move to becoming a better you, right? By having that information. Now, on the 19th, the next day, we have Venus in Virgo, and it's squaring Jupiter. Now, that may not be so bad because Venus and Jupiter are what we call benefics. They give gifts. They bring us good things, right? And so Venus rules our money. Venus rules our love. Jupiter just gives blessing on blessing, and it expands everything that it touches. But in this square between the two, it might be like, okay, it's showing you where you overdid something, because Jupiter expands something. So in love, where are you allowing things to fly that probably shouldn't fly? Where are you sweeping things under a rug? Like, how long have you actually done that? Or how long has your partner allowed you to get away with some stuff? Right now, you just might not be able to get away with it. Okay. Where have you overspent? If we're talking about money, right? Where have you overdone your beauty treatments? Like, you need to slow down on the Botox. Quit with them lip injections right now. I'm joking, but I'm saying, like, Venus rules beauty. And so Jupiter squaring Venus is showing you, like, you OD'd, you overdid it. Chill out. Okay. And in the same day, Venus is going to oppose Saturn. And so that's not necessarily good, because Saturn is we call Saturn the taskmaster, but I like Saturn is like that teacher that has the ruler that sticks their finger out. No, you need to get back in line. You can't do this. Saturn is the parent that enforces the rules. And so if you got out of hand with your Venus, with Jupiter squaring it, then Saturn is going to come into play and have you put boundaries back in place, like fix things. Like now you're going to have to pay the piper with regards to wherever you OD'd, you overdid some things. And it's a fast moving aspect, so it's not going to stick around for too long. But if you fucked up, then Saturn is going to get you back in line, and you're going to fix whatever you messed up with regards to that Venus Jupiter conversation. Okay. And so that's what I wanted to say about that. Now, child, the biggie, we're going to have, like, we have a T square. We have a T square. So I want you to think, we talked about the opposition between the sun and the moon. The sun is in Leo, the moon is in Aquarius. And then, like, imagine if you drew a line from the middle of them, and out at the end of that midline of that line that you drew from the middle of each, like, you have Uranus, and Uranus is what we call T squaring, like you drawing a T, right? So Uranus is what we're saying is T squaring the moon. It's T squaring the sun. Ooh, child. Now, we talked about Uranus being what it embodies. Like, it represents, Uranus wants to give you freedom, for better or worse. It wants to free you from, if it's not serving you, Uranus is going real quick. Uranus represents lightning, shocking, action, disruption, sudden, wake up, shake up. It's the wake up, shake up. Okay. And so with Uranus squaring, it's trying to bring you something, or break you away from something, so it can bring you to something. Shockingly, surprisingly, abruptly, and quick. Okay? Abrupt is the same thing as quick, but you get what I'm saying. And it brings chaos with it. You know what I mean? Or it can bring chaos. I mean, it might bring you something that have to make you move quick, but it's something that you actually wanted, right? So before this actually happens, let me back up a little bit. So you have Uranus is in Taurus. The moon and sun are in Aquarius and Leo. We talked about that, right? Lord. We have another big aspect or conversation that's happening. And this conversation this is usually not a good conversation. And this conversation is the square between Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter and Saturn, they just flat out don't like each other. I mean, not for real. Because maybe they like each other. Maybe they do, but this ain't real. This is not a good conversation. And so Jupiter is in Gemini, And Jupiter is in an air sign. And in Gemini, it tends to be all over the freaking place. Yes, Jupiter expands everything that it touches. It want to give gifts. It wants to do all of those things. But Gemini is an air sign. And so it's all over the goddamn place. It's everywhere. There's no structure to it. It's like, and it could be blown out of proportion. Okay. So then you have Jupiter squaring Saturn. And Saturn is like, oh, hell to the no. Like, that Jupiter kite is not going to fly. Okay? No. We need order. We need order in the court. We need boundaries. Are we following the rules? Like, you giving all of these gifts, you allowing all of this kite to fly. Like, what is this affecting? Right? Is this causing chaos? Have you even checked to see how given this thing is going to affect everything else? No, you haven't. And so we're going to put structure to this. That's what Saturn is doing. But before this square even happens, and it's happening on the same day as the full moon, Lord have mercy. It's being energized by the full moon. So it's even bigger than what it would ordinarily be without this energy giving it that boost. Let's back up a couple days, though. Now, on August the 14th, we had Mars going into Gemini. Now, Mars is like, Mars sets it off. Wherever Mars goes, like it's going into Gemini and it's conjuncting Jupiter. Mars is triggering Jupiter. So Jupiter is already expanding. It's already doing what it's doing. Imagine it being triggered by Mars. It's really going crazy. Mars is energizing Jupiter to go ham. Okay? To go ham. It's like, yes, do you. And it's like, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. It's giving. We can't have all these cars on the road because they're going to crash. No, I'm just kidding. But Mars is energizing Jupiter. And then Mars and Saturn don't get along. So just think Mars is like the go, go, go. I don't think, I'm just going to go. I'm going to get shit done. I don't care what havoc I wreak in the process of getting done what I need to get done and getting what I want. And Saturn is and it's young energies. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm ready to go. And Saturn is the old, like, gray beard. No. You cannot. You need to calm down. And so on the 16th, Mars squares Saturn, agitating Saturn. Like, nah. Look what I did. I set Jupiter off, and this is going to piss you off. So that's adding fuel to the fire. Okay. But again, Saturn is like, never mind who you thought I was. I'm Saturn, bitch. You are not getting away with this. You're not. Okay? You're not. So it's a lot of stuff going on. And that is what makes this energy so crazy. It is like, we don't know really like what is going to happen. But again, like, we got to be prepared. And at the end of the day, this energy is going to bring us to our better selves, and what it is it's going to make us that much closer, because we are supposed to evolve. We are supposed to grow and eat. And at the end of the day, this energy is helping us to do that. How are you going to use it? How is it affecting you in your chart? Well, we about to get into that right now. So Aries, what does the planetary energies have for you? What is it calling forth? What is it bringing forth during this full moon that we are having on August the 19th, 2024? Keep in mind, Aries, that the full moon is super potent, super powerful, and it's energizing all the planetary conversations in the skies. And so let's talk about how it relates to you. And again, I just really want to emphasize that the conversations that are being had between the planets are more powerful than they would ordinarily be because the full moon is giving it that extra burst of energy. With that said, we have Mercury that is retrograde, and it has been retrograde, or it's gone retrograde since August the 4th in your fifth house, in Leo. Fifth house has to do with your self-expression, your creativity, pleasure, romance. So, in our attitudes toward romance and relationships, it rules our lovers, that part of the relationship when we actually first meet. So not our partners, because that's ruled by the seventh house. We have Mercury in there, which governs our thought processes, our ideas, exchanges of information. It rules travel. It rules how we approach all of those things. Learning, exchange of ideas. Mercury in your fifth house. So what is that? What that's talking about? Are you expressing yourself because it's retrograde, or have you been expressing yourself that's in keeping with all of those characteristics of the fifth house? Like, are you conveying to your romantic partners all the things that you need from romance? Are you expressing that, right? Are you being direct? Are you being confused with what it is that you require? Are you clearly communicating what it is that you need? Are they clearly communicating what it is that they need? Are you guys clearly communicating? Because Mercury is retrograde, there's something that's not being communicated clearly. There's something that's being left out. There's something that's unknown. It's something that you have to work on the communication there. That's what's happening right now. And it's actually being squared by Uranus. So some shocking information might be coming out with regards to this fifth house and how you're not speaking. It probably just come to a boiling point, and you might hear something, or either of you might say something that just shocks the other. Maybe you say I love you for the first time. Maybe you say I don't want to be together. Maybe you want to call it a quits, but it's something shocking. It's something that wakes you up, that shakes you up, because that's the energy of Uranus that is energizing that fifth house, and it's coming from your second house. And I honestly don't believe it's a bad thing, because Mercury is going to conjunct or join the sun in your fifth house. And sometimes when planets join the sun, they say that the planet's energy can be burned and you don't really feel it because it's being overpowered by the sun. But in this case, Mercury is going to be, further enough apart to where it enjoys those warm, beautiful rays of the sun that's energizing it and giving it life. And so I feel like the information that you're actually going to get with regards to Mercury is going to be what you needed to move forward. You know what I mean? Because this is auspicious energy, the Mercury joining with sun. So I feel like maybe they might be saying I love you. And if they're saying goodbye, maybe you thought that you should be saying goodbye, but you never said it because you didn't want to hurt the other person's feelings. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be the information that you're given that you need to move forward. And that information that you're going to be given, because it's coming from the second house, it's going to do a lot for your self-worth. It's going to probably do a lot for your personal finances, personal possessions in some sort of way, because the second house has to do with those things. So we already talked about Mercury joining the sun. On the day of the full moon, which is August the 19th, you have Venus that is in Virgo squaring Jupiter. Now, Venus and Jupiter are both benefic planets. They give, they have great qualities. about them. There's nothing negative really with regards to those two planets, but the energy of the square, those are hard. And typically when you have two benefics, particularly Venus and Jupiter, when they square each other, that has to do with how are we overdoing what we're doing with regards to that planet in the house. So you have Venus in Virgo. Venus doesn't like to be in Virgo, right? Venus feels very criticized in Virgo, because Virgo is a very critical sign. Is very detail oriented. It's just, it kind of makes Virgo feel kind of choked and trapped. It doesn't like to be there. And so how are you critical in love? Or it's in your sixth house. So how are you critical how are you critical of yourself? Like, are you loving yourself the way you need to be loving yourself? Are you overdoing your exercise routines? Like, are you giving yourself enough slap? Are you beating yourself up? And are you doing it to a fault? Because guess what? Jupiter doesn't like to be in Gemini either. And so Jupiter in Gemini tends to be kind of irresponsible. It tends to be all over the place. It's not very strong. We say that Jupiter is actually in its detriment in Jupiter. So it's not given its fullest qualities. And so it's acting kind of erratic in there. And it's blowing that Venus out of proportion, how Venus is acting in Virgo, which doesn't like to be there. It's blowing it out of proportion. So again, like your exercise routines, are you exercising so much to where it's not actually working? You know what I mean? Ask yourself that. Are you trying to be on a diet and your diet is not actually working because you're not eating enough? You don't have your macros right? Or are you not enjoying yourself because you're just too focused on, getting those macros right, that you're not enjoying yourself when you're sitting down to nourish yourself? Are you burning the candles at both ends when it comes onto your work routines and any routines? And is that being blown up by Jupiter? That's what that square is all about. Are you overdoing those things? But guess what? On the same day, Virgo is going to, at a later time, is going to square Saturn. And Saturn is all about your, rules and regulations, where we overdo stuff. Saturn keeps us in check. And so it's a quick it's a quick aspect. It's a really quick conversation, but Saturn is checking in with Venus and Virgo and is saying, like, you don't need to overdo things. Like, these are your boundaries. And it's coming from your 12th house too. So it's like, these are your boundaries. These are where your weaknesses are. This is how you're doing yourself. This is actually not helping you, but this is what you need to do to put in place to, make sure you optimize your routines, whether it be with your eating, your scheduling, your health routines and things of that nature, and then it's going to pass. But then we have, also on the same day, we have the sun in Leo squaring Uranus. Now, people want to invoke fear in us with this square. I really don't think that is going to be as bad, although it can be. We want to be prepared because, again, Uranus, it does, can have people acting out of character, and Uranus does not like to be in Taurus. Uranus is not strong in Taurus, so I don't think that it's going to be given its full effect. And the sun is strong in Leo. The sun is actually exalted in Leo because it's ruled Leo, and so it's said to be in domicile. So I feel like whatever is being illuminated during this full moon in Leo, which is in your fifth house, I feel like that's going to be good, and it's going to be sudden. Like we talked about earlier, you might be, like we talked about earlier, you might be getting, like if it's to do with your romantic partner, it's like they might be saying, I love you suddenly. You know what I mean? And you're just shocked that you felt that you might be saying it. And it might feel like, okay, this is something that you don't normally do, but it feels right. And because you're getting energized from the full moon and from Uranus, it's like you just have that drive to just go for it. I don't think that it's going to be that bad, but then again, it could be, because I'm not looking at your chart and I don't know what's actually going on. You also, on the 19th, we have Uranus squaring the moon because it's at a T-square. And so the moon is in Aquarius and Uranus is in Taurus. Uranus rules Aquarius. Uranus is, again, said to be in its detriment in Taurus, but it's squaring itself. It's squaring the moon in Aquarius. I don't feel like that's a bad thing either, because here's the thing. The moon rules our innermost private thoughts, like our dreams, like things that is held true to us that we don't really share with anybody. It rules what our deepest desires. And so when you have the sun opposing your deepest desires, when we have a full moon, it's like the moon is shining light. I mean, not the moon, but the sun is shining light on the moon. So we're shining light on our deepest desires, the things that we really want, especially as it relates to that particular house. And the moon is in your 11th house that rules your goals and dreams, like your ideals. And the light is being shine on it from the sun. And it's in Aquarius. And so it's getting that energy. And then it's being squared by Uranus, its own side. So I feel like it's going to get the goodness, the good qualities from yours. And it's probably going to make you act on getting your dreams and goals accomplished. I mean, like that's how I see it. I mean, unless you have something going on in your chart that is causing, it not to fulfill its full potential, I feel like this can actually really be a good thing. Like you're letting the world know, hey, these are my goals and dreams. This is what I secretly want. And I want to bring this to fruition. And yeah, it might be a little bit untamed and it might be a little bit, disorganized or whatever, but it's coming forth. It's coming forth, and it might come forth shockingly. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's for your own good. And I really want to know like how this is affecting you. I really do. I don't feel like you should be scared. And so when we have squares, I always say there's certain questions that we want to ask. So with regards to your deepest desires, your goals and dreams, like what is the solution to help you implement those and get those in place? Like, and where are you going to get the strength to do that? That's what's going to be shown to you. Dig deep, get that strength. Like, how are you going to solve the challenge of getting to your goals and dreams? And who do you want to become? Like, who are you now? Who do you want to be and who do you want to become when this challenge is actually over? And what is this challenge? Like, what is this energy teaching you? Like, how is it teaching you to get the strength to get done what you need to get done, to put those goals and dreams in place, to make those manifest? Yes, that's what that is all about. Now, the biggest energy that's being presented and that's being energized by the full moon is going to be the Gemini square and Jupiter and Gemini square Saturn and Pisces energy. Now, this energy has been unfolding since I want to say 2020 when Jupiter and Saturn actually met. They conjunct. When two signs come together, I want you to think of like a seed being planted when they come together, and then when they oppose each other, that's the culmination. Like that's the fruit that conjunction actually bears. But when it's a square to it, like I want to say like that's the midpoint, and it shows you like what's working thus far, what's not working thus far, so that you can make adjustments so that when they do oppose, like what you planted can actually make manifest. But so you have to you have to pay attention to what the square is trying to tell you. And with squares, they take things away, and they want to take things away that don't work, and they take it away probably through things that does not feel very comfortable, but it's not for your own good anyway. But they want to give you what does serve you. So they want to take away what doesn't serve you. They want to give you what does. And so this is happening with Jupiter and Gemini in your third house. Again, Jupiter is associated with good luck, bounty, optimism. But when Jupiter is in Gemini, it doesn't give its full potential, and it could be a little bit irresponsible. It could be, blindly optimistic, right? And it could be, dealing with overindulgence when it's in a sign that it doesn't actually like, and it's in air. So it's like, that's overblown. And actually on the 14th, a couple of days before the full moon on the 19th, Mars goes into Gemini, and Mars is what we call the god of war. Mars is raw energy. And so whatever it touches, wherever it goes, it just ignites it. It's like a fuse that goes off. So it's energizing Jupiter, and it did that on the 14th. And so if Jupiter is erratic and irresponsible, not saying that it is, I don't know what's going on in your chart, but it doesn't like being in Gemini. And if it's being ignited by Mars, that can go a little crazy, right? That can do things that does not serve you. And so it's being squared by the rule enforcer, Saturn. And Saturn is like, again, like, that kite don't fly, Jupiter. Mars, I don't know what you think you're doing, but I'm putting the kibosh on. It's like, no, that's not going to happen. So it's going to put rules in place. Like, Mars is impulsive, like, it's rash, it's impatient. And so it's that energy that is igniting Jupiter, and that can bring things out of control. And again, like, that's in your third house. This has to do with your thought processes, your ideas, information. Like, are you saying things that's just not things that you need to be saying? Like, are you putting information out that shouldn't be put out, that's just wrong in some type of way? Are you receiving information that's wrong in some type of way? Are you behaving or misbehaving with siblings and neighbors, or in your environments? Are you taking trips that's just, stretching you? That's just, that's not good for you. Saturn is going to come in and put some boundaries there and put structure into all of that and show you where, you need to kind of rein it in and get it together. Okay, so that is what is going on for you, Aries. You let me know how this full moon, how you handle this full moon, because again, now you're prepared. And we talked about earlier, when you're prepared, you're calm and you're composed, you're actually in control. You're the one who actually wins. You're asking yourself those questions that help you to get into the strength that you need to get to the goals that you have for yourself. And so let me know how you're going to use this energy, and how you have used this energy to become a stronger version of yourself. I really and truly want to know. Thanks, Aries. Again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Definitely would love for you to become a part of the family. And remember, keep your hearts open and your spirits connected, guys. Ciao.